right, so back Friday at Spiel 2017, late in the day, but thank you, Elad Goldsteen, for joining me from Golden Egg Games.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely.
Pleasure.
So, we'll start with the obvious question. How's Spiel going for you to start?
Well, it's late in the second day, and we are only we released Age of Humanity. It's a survival taxing deck building game, and it's much more than that. It's not just a deck building game, and we have a really good response right now. So we are very close to sell out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we usually sell out by now, but we bought a bunch more games, so it should be sell out maybe tomorrow, hopefully.
Okay. Well, good. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So, okay, let's actually talk about Edge of Humanity.
Yeah, sure.
So, you want to describe it a little for folks?
Oh, yeah. So, Edge of Humanity. So, I like to describe because your listener are more into heavy mechanics and stuff like that. So, what's cool about Age of Humanity, what's different, it's a deck building game at its core, but it's very different. In the meaning that it's like the world has ended and everybody's trained and you're gathering yourself in a group of survivors, forming a new colony, starting to building a civilization again. So what you're trying to do basically is to get more survivors and more build new buildings in your colony. So those survivors will give you victory points, but also special abilities. And those buildings will give you points and also special abilities. So by round 2, you will have such a unique colony and such a unique engine that you can run off, 5 different colonies in the same game. So it's very, every decision you make, every survivor that you will take in will change your game, not in a point or point of view, but also as strategically.
So, as far as kind of what special ability or rule breakers that they bring to your colony specifically.
Yeah, and they will break any rules. So the game it's I don't want to say groundbreaking, but it's the thematic feel about having tough decision is felt because each time you need to recruit a new survivor or build a new building, you actually need to destroy some of your supplies. This is the only thing that drives you through. You need supplies to build or to recruit those survivors. So when you trash a card, it's out of your deck. So you start the deck with 10 cards and you might end up with 13 cards, maybe at the end of the game, not like 40 or 50 like in Dominion. So every card counts. Every decision is a hard decision. Not only that, you have a special phase, a trade phase, in which you need to trade cards from your hand that you don't like with new cards on the trade pile, which are columns of cards. So, but that card is also out of the game, and those cards goes into your discard pile. So you always need to sacrifice. Sacrifice is the second nature of the game. And on top of that, if it's not enough, you have a story-driven, like an event deck that will beat you up. It will present you a lovely story, which is not so nice actually. It's
lovely in that the game hates you.
Yeah. So the game actually, all will face the same event, so it's not like anybody will have an advantage or something like that. So, but you will face encounters, like really tough encounters that you need, again, to make tough decisions. Like either to discard one supply card that you really need, or discard any 3 cards, or just lose life. Oh, I forgot, you have life, and you can die.
Oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah. So you can say life is a commodity, but staying alive is much more healthier than dying.
Sure.
But it's...
So these events, are they universal to where they affect everybody equally, or is it one person, or...
Yeah, in turn order you will just need to make decision, but you make your own decision. You don't need to follow, you don't have, okay, he took that option, I take another option. You can basically take the same path as your previous player.
Okay.
But it will affect you differently because your deck is different.
Gotcha, but it's universal in that the same card's going to affect you that affects me, right? Which I think is a really important aspect for those that don't want a lot of randomness to impact their game like that.
Well, I don't want to spoil, but some events might have different kind of effect that if you are ready for those kind of encounters.
Sure, if you're more prepared than somebody else, right?
In a different way, and it's more like it will be more like pulling back the leader back a bit. It's not like it will beat you down completely, but if you are more prepared for, you have a weapon system. So if you are well armed, you have more. Probably you might be more successful in dealing with some intruders and stuff like that. So
that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. So how many players does it play, and what kind of play time?
2 to 5, 45 minutes. That's it.
Okay. All right.
In that time, you will have so many crunchy feelings. So although it's not those heavy, longer game, but I think it will have a really good effect. And you actually play. If you play two games, you will be beat down mentally and maybe physically. But it's a really, really, really cool game that everybody should at least try. At least try it.
So is it hitting distribution, or what's the plan with Edge of Humanity?
So we just hit release today, but it will be. I think it's the copies to the States are already in transit. And UK and Europe will get it in about a month from now, and it will be hitting normal distribution. Yeah, retail can hold it up. I think online retailers already, some of those already pre-order, so they have already copies right now.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So now, before we started recording, we were talking about how you guys had created Primetime and published Primetime previously, and now you would mention something about a second edition and expansion and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Primetime was published on 2015, and at Spiel also. It was a big game for us, and it was sold out really quickly. So in 2016 we didn't have any more copies. We actually found out some copies here, but that's another story. And it's weird stuff going on here.
Right,
Really weird stuff going on here, but you need to be here to understand. But we thought about making a second edition. It's our heavier game that we ever made. It's a game about making your own network, but it's a
TV network, right?
TV network, yeah. And you need to be a really shrewd businessman. It's a business simulation, which you can actually can feel when you build a new show and adding the right writer, the right star, you can flourish. You can gain a lot of money from that show. The point is to make money. So what we're planning to do is in the second edition to amp up the component because we took a lot of time to read feedbacks from clients and try to think about how to fix those problems. So we will have an upgraded TV grid. It's called a schedule. And we will have, instead of the normal cubes, we will have plastic tokens for those ratings. And those guys will have stickers, so it will have, when you gain a green cube, you don't feel anything. But when you successfully attracted a couple to see your show, you feel differently.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's a main, and of course more cards and better artwork on the new cards and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. So is the core game going to stay the same though?
Oh yeah. Well, it works. Everybody likes it. So I don't think we have ever going to change anything about the rules of the games. We might make a simpler, more approachable first game learning experience.
Oh, like a variant or a first game.
Yeah, first game introduction game.
There you go, introduction game. That's what I'm looking for.
That you will only play one season and less days, so it won't be, because it looks like a fun game, and some players that are not well experienced with heavier game might jump in and might strike out. After the second season, they're like, I'm beat.
Right.
I cannot come.
It's more than what they're used to, is what you're saying.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But you should keep trying. So we will make an introductory game so everybody can play the game. And then if they can play it once or twice, they can move to the normal game mode, which is the longer, I don't know, designer cut.
Sure.
And yeah, it's cool.
So do you have any idea on a time frame, or is that going to be Kickstarter, normal distribution? What's the plan?
I don't know if we will do another Kickstarter, but right now we already signed up with a lot of localized partners because they like the jokes that I wrote. I don't know why. I don't think it's much funny, but German folks really don't like that the jokes is in English. Although they can play the game, but they cannot understand those.
They don't get the puns or the inside jokes.
So we have partners that will do the German and other languages are lined up. So hopefully we can have enough so we can just do a normal distribution like we did with the Edge of Humanity. And not that we don't like Kickstarter, it's a Kickstarter. It's I don't know. It's crowdfunding. It's just more taxing on us as a publisher, just to deal with fulfillment and other areas.
Sure.
Rather than just publish the game and then distribution do all the work, all the magic.
Sure, right. Because you yourself are a designer, developer, and publisher. You wear all the hats. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that come to be? So why as a designer would you ever think, you know what, I just want to publish games because designing's not hard enough?
Well, when I was designing games for myself as a hobby, and I designed games when I was a kid also, and so it was a passion of mine, right? But the game industry, when I thought about making myself a more as a profession, and try to be more professional about it, it was really hard to break in because the board game industry wasn't booming like it's right now.
Sure.
It was like, I have like 40, 50 new games every year, and it's hard for that publisher to just jump on your idea. And I was really radical back then. Like I was like doing my, less development, more designer in me, and I just want to also to prove myself. So I made like really radical, like my first game that we published. It's Fallen City of Cards. It's a really, really radical design. It has so many moving parts inside of it, so many new mechanics that it might be overbearing for some. For some, it's like, oh my God. But for a publisher, I can understand it. It's crazy. Right now, I can say it's an insane design, but I like it still. But as a developer, it's not the best thing to do to have so many new mechanics inside one game.
Sure, just limit it a little bit. So how do you rein yourself in then? How do you consciously put on these different hats and limit yourself, especially when it comes to anything that you want to design yourself?
Well, first of all, I grew up myself, so I think I'm a more mature man right now than I was.
Sure.
That helps.
So experience?
Oh yeah, experience is everything. So it's one thing to be a good designer. It's another thing also to wear the hat of a developer and as you say, reel myself in. Like one day I really think this is such a great stuff and mechanic and it might work, and the other day I just thinking myself as a publisher, maybe it's a cool, really cool idea, but it won't work with the theme or it won't work with that, because I'm as a designer, I always think about theme first, and then the mechanics might fit in or might not, because this is how I design games myself. And and there are other methods to that. Everybody does their own thing, but this is me. This is how I push myself creatively. So as a developer, I then just think about how I can make it work, and that's the hard work, developing the ideas.
So is having all these different hats, do you feel like that benefits you in the long run, or does it make it more difficult and not impede you, but just make it harder for you to do your different jobs?
Well, I had to get better at all aspects. So as a publisher, I had 0 experience. As a developer, I like 10% experience. I was level 2. But as a game designer, I was good. So I had the pleasure, or it's a hard time, but at some point, but to learn how to improve myself in all aspects, even graphic design. you know, as a publisher, I need to also take care of the art design. And I had to take into that account and learn myself and self-experience everything on my own, so we can improve as a company. But right now, it might be too much. I have too much knowledge, and it's just too much. So I'm delegating some and finding design partners, finding another developer that can take the ideas to some extent. So yeah, it's insane. I know now that what I did before is just insane.
Just too much for...
No, nobody can do it.
Yeah.
Nobody has done it, so it's just, you know, it's not proper.
But at the same time, going through those bumps and those experiences benefit you in the long run?
Oh yeah, definitely. Experience is everything. I know the things that I thought that I have done before. It's crazy, and you still need to have the spark to be innovative and think outside the box. But you really need to have the sense to reel it in, to think about it twice before pushing the buttons, and yeah.
So being your own critic has helped then.
Oh yeah. It's hard, but it is. And you know, I have so many nights that I don't sleep because my mind is wondering, what the hell? What did I did? What was thinking? It's just a bad idea. Well, we need to just scrap it from scratch. It's hard. It's hard to push your own games outside.
All right.
It's really hard.
So I know you don't want to talk specifics about other games other than the ones we talked about, but needless to say, you have other games in development currently, and I'm saying by you, I mean Golden Egg Games.
Oh yeah, we're developing a lot of games. We actually, surprisingly, we have a family type of games, which is it's funny to have Edge of Humanity, like a survival game, and then you will see it's a funny, fantasy, light-hearted kids game that you can play with your kids and family. And but I am always exploring new ways that I can evolve and affect my influence on and try to make different style and stuff like that. Because if you do the same thing, like I could do city council, you know, all over again, and the same thing. And it's okay. I understand why people do it, but I can't.
Why not? Is it a creative drive that you have, or is it something else?
I think it's basically I'm getting bored.
Okay.
With the same idea. And I like to add expansion, but when I do an expansion, I really like it to be groundbreaking. Like, oh my God, it's changing the game. It's not just,
more of the same.
Yeah, I hate that at all. So unless I can change with the real effect, I usually won't do an expansion.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, best of luck the rest of the Spiel. I guess the 2 days that are left here.
Sure. Thank you very much.
And good luck on the second edition of Primetime, and keep us in the loop.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.